If you're over the age of 60 and you're still saying that I'm going to figure this out later, you actually need to pause and pay attention. Welcome back, everyone, to the YouTube channel here on Axiom Value. We're doing the Women in Finance series here with Josephine Bojang, and I'm really excited about this topic because it's very important for women over the age of 60 who are still saying, I'm gonna just figure this out later. I got time. We actually talked about this in another video, but you say that we actually need to pause and pay attention. Why is that?
Well, I feel like 60s is the prime. You're worried about, potentially getting Medicare, Social Security, like all of that is happening in your 60s. And quite frankly, what you do in your early 60s will probably set the tone of what's going to happen in your later 60s or even 70s and beyond, right? So I think it's really, really important if you haven't taken the steps at this point, now's the time to start. There's not a whole lot of time to just continue to just wing it.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, we're specifically talking to women right now. I think many of us, including myself, we like to procrastinate. I'll just be honest.
I do too.
We like to procrastinate because we feel uncomfortable about the topic. We don't know where to start. It feels overwhelming. Or also too, we like to lean on our spouse. Anyone out there? Yep.
Yeah.
The man takes care of the finances. We're okay. I don't need to worry about it. But you say actually we need to do the complete opposite.
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, like you said, so if you're single, right, or divorced, widowed, there's a lot of things you got to think about because now you are the only person that can handle everything. You're not going to lean on somebody else. So if you don't take charge, then life is just going to happen to you and retirement might not look the way you wanted it to. You got to worry about taxes. If you're single, your tax brackets are higher than a married couple, right? So if you need health care, need someone to assist you, you don't have someone else to potentially lean on. And so you've got to make sure that you have a plan in place. Now, if you're married, a lot of times what we come across, and we meet it with a lot of couples, is there's just the spouse, the husband tends to handle all the finances. The husband makes all the decisions. And I think women need to stop letting that happen. Not to say that you need to be in control of everything and just take everything away from your husband, but decisions should be made jointly.
Right.
And a lot of times we have met with couples that the wife can see things that we're talking about, right? Things that we need to mitigate, like paying more in taxes in the future, Medicare, which then impacts your Medicare premiums, when to take Social Security, even what they've saved up. How we should invest it now, right? And allowing someone to be their guide. Whereas the husband's like, now we got it. And they just want to do everything themselves. Yeah. And so for the sake of their marriage, she's like, okay, I'll just go with what he says. Knowing that even though all the things that we addressed and talked about are things they need to be addressing. And a lot of times, quite frankly, most people, when they think about financial planning, they're just thinking about one aspect of it, and that's just the investment growth.
Yeah.
But the problem is, we all want investment growth, right? Don't you want more money?
Yes.
Right? But the problem is how you save, where you save, all of those things can impact everything else in your financial picture. And so if you do the wrong thing and all you're worried about is growth, that could actually result in a lot of taxes for you in the future, which means you don't get to keep a lot of the money that you're growing.
Right.
Nobody wants that, right?
No. And Josephine, you brought up a lot of really good things, but let's go back to specifically, let's talk to the widows. Let's talk to the single women. These women are really in a position that really matters, meaning anything could happen to them. They're now just someone that's very in a singular position versus someone that is with someone. They have someone to lean on.
Right.
Why should they be going to someone like you for financial assistance when it comes to planning for retirement?
Well, I think for the awareness, for the knowledge, for the peace of mind. I mean, those are all things that we can bring to the table because, again, if they don't know what they don't know, then they're just going along life's journey by themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Having a guide like myself to go along the way. It's just like if you want to go on vacation, would you prefer to go with your best friend, hang out, and, you know,
Best
have
friend
some
for
fun,
sure. Yeah.
or do you want to go by yourself? I mean, I know occasionally you want to be by yourself, but like it's more fun when there's someone there along the way. And if that person can bring another perspective, another point of view that you've never ever even thought about, then that's value added.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to bring is value.
In 2025, when it comes to retirement planning, what should women know? What should they do today? What actions do we need to take?
That's funny you say, what actions do they need to take? I think they just need to take action, right? A lot of times, well, no, but seriously, we come across so many people, we look at their situation, provide our feedback of like, here's some of the gaps, here are some of the things that you're not thinking about that will impact you negatively in the future. And one, they're not aware, but then when we bring the awareness, they don't want to take action because it's easier to not take action. Keep doing what you've been doing. And now more than ever, because I don't think, given, you know, where the country is as far as like debt and overall, I mean, and more baby boomers retiring every year, I mean, there's going to be a lot of pressure on different government programs.
Right.
And if there's not a lot of people coming into the workforce, then chances are taxes could be raised in the future when you're in retirement, right? And so you're going to end up having to pay more of your hard-earned money to the government than if you had a guide. Not that you can ever get away from taxes. Obviously, we have to pay our share, but don't pay what we always like to call the optional taxes versus your required taxes, right? And that constitutes where the planning comes in. And if you've done good planning, then you'll be good from that perspective. But even just from a Medicare, all of those, right? Like Social Security, when to take it, when not to take it. A lot of times people are like, oh no, it's gonna run out, so I need to take it as soon as I'm eligible. But you know what? You could be shortchanging yourself. Because you think about over your lifetime, you could be getting more income than if you took it early on. So
this is very good value information that we're listening to right now. Okay. A lot of people need to know, what are the top 3 biggest mistakes that women are making right now, and how can we avoid them?
One, I think, is Social Security. Like a lot of times people just don't know when to take it, so they're like, okay, well, if I'm eligible, I'm going to take it. You know, I think that's one. I think saving and how they're saving their retirement savings is another one. A lot of times, folks, because we don't want to pay taxes, we defer everything. Defer doesn't mean you opt out, right? At some point, you need to pay. So if you're deferring taxes, that just means you're deferring that into the future when you don't know what tax rates could be, right? Same amount of money, you could end up paying double in taxes if you keep deferring versus, you know what, let's try to get more, pay the taxes now. That way, you know, we're actually in a low tax environment. I know no taxes don't ever seem low, but like we are historically, we are in a low environment. So it's better to pay now up front if you can than delaying it when it could be like double of what you have to pay, right? And so that's another one. I think, I mean, there's a lot of different things, but I think it's just not taking action now and thinking that you have plenty of time. That is probably one of the biggest mistakes people make.
Right.
Because again, retirement it's a huge another phase of your life, right? And so that's the phase that we've worked so hard for so many years. That should be the fun phase of your life, right? Not when you're worried and you know, having all these other like stressors come to you. This is the time you're supposed to be enjoying. So that's why it's so important to plan properly so that you can truly live out the retirement that you dreamed of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then speaking of enjoying life, there's a lot of women that want to keep their lifestyle. Okay, ladies, we understand. You want to buy the shoes, you want to go shopping, all the
That's
things.
me.
That is us over here, yes. But that also factors into the planning for retirement. So how do you help women make sure that their lifestyle is also being intact when it comes to planning for retirement? Is that factored in there?
Absolutely, absolutely. As a matter of fact, we go through our whole Retire Happy strategy. And so the first and most important part of that, which is what we call the foundation, is ensuring that you have enough income, right? Because if you have the same amount of income coming in, or maybe even more in retirement than when you were working, that's amazing, right? Because then now you're like, oh, I don't have to go to work, but I'm still getting money in as if I was. So there is no lifestyle change. As a matter of fact, you can either maintain or have even a better lifestyle in retirement. So that is absolutely the most important, is what does that plan look like? And let's make sure that we have the optimal plan for you. And so that builds the foundation, because it's almost like building a house, right? So if you have a strong foundation, then everything else will just be perfect.
Right. Which is why we need financial assistance, because if we're just like living life and we're just delaying the planning, we're never going to get to the space and confidence of knowing I'm going to be okay. Because that's the number one like fear that people have.
Yes.
Am I going to be okay in retirement? You don't really know if you're not actually meeting with someone. So Josephine, thank you so much for your time. If you have more questions about this, don't hesitate to reach out to them today. Thanks, Josephine.
Thank you. Hey ladies, I'm here to tell you it's never too late to plan wisely. If you want to hear more or just learn more, and let's just have a conversation. So contact us today, and it's never too late to start.